Amara had spent 10 long years hiding. 10 years of silence, of careful steps, of blending into the shadows so no one would ever notice her true self. She moved through the forests and hills with the grace of someone who had learned to be invisible, yet every heartbeat reminded her that she was different. She was marked. Born under a curse and a prophecy, the sigil burned faintly upon her skin, hidden beneath layers of clothing, away from prying eyes. The mark had branded her as chosen, and chosen meant danger. For a decade, she had fled the noble courts, the grand castles, and the endless whispers of power-hungry men. She had fled the Triplet Alpha Kings themselves, Arendor, Kalen, and Thorian, the rulers of the 3 strongest wolf clans. Each king was feared, whispered about in villages and forest villages alike, not only for their unmatched power, but for their sharp minds and sharper hearts. Anyone who dared to oppose them vanished, leaving only rumors. Amara had learned to survive by knowing the smallest details: where the wolves rested, which streams were safe to drink from, and which paths led to danger. She had made a home in a ruined tower far from the roads, the ivy crawling along its walls like fingers, its windows like eyes staring at the stars. It was not much, but it was safe. Yet tonight, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the forest grew dark, Amara felt unease curling around her chest. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying a strange fragrance, one that made her pulse quicken. Something was coming. Something she had been running from for 10 years. She paused by the cliffside, gazing at the silver reflection of the moon in the river below. Her hands trembled slightly as she traced the edge of the hidden mark on her wrist, beneath the leather straps she had worn for years. It had been a long time since anyone had spoken her name aloud, and yet her ears itched to hear it, even knowing that doing so might bring death. And then, in the hush of twilight, she heard it. 3 voices, low and commanding, carrying over the forest like a storm rolling in from distant hills. Each voice was distinct. One deep and commanding, one sharp and unpredictable, and one smooth, yet brimming with quiet danger. Amara. The name cut through the evening air, a thread connecting the past and present. She froze. Her eyes darted to the shadows moving in the trees. The Triplet Kings were here. Her mind raced. For 10 years, she had imagined this moment in countless ways. Being hunted, cornered, fighting for her life. But reality was worse. They did not immediately attack. They did not demand her surrender. They simply watched, 3 pairs of eyes gleaming in the dim light, each reading her, weighing her, testing her. Arendor stepped forward first. The eldest of the triplets, his presence was undeniable, like the mountain itself leaning toward her. He had a way of making the world seem smaller, as if all she had known had been irrelevant. His voice, low and calm, carried a power that was almost intoxicating. "You have hidden well," he said, "but the mark cannot be ignored forever." Amara drew back instinctively, her body instinctively tensing. She had survived this long by staying unseen. But the mere presence of Arendor, Kalen, and Thorian threatened to unravel everything she had built. "I am not yours," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I am not chosen. I am nothing." Kalen laughed then, a sound like sparks in the dark. The middle brother, known for his unpredictability, moved with fluid grace, circling her as if testing a predator. "Nothing, you say?" he said, eyes glinting with mischief and curiosity. "You have survived 10 years in hiding. That is more than most." Thorian, the youngest, watched quietly from a distance, his presence subtle but commanding in its own way. There was a fire in his gaze, one that spoke of patience, of secrets, and of longing. "You are not nothing," he murmured, "and the mark. It calls for more than hiding." Amara's chest tightened. She had thought she was free in the wilds, but in truth, She had only been delaying the inevitable. The mark had been part of her since birth, etched into her flesh and her fate. It was not simply a curse, it was a key. And now, faced with the Triplet Kings, she felt its pulse beneath her skin. A gentle but insistent reminder that her past was coming to claim her. "I don't belong to any of you," she said, trying to sound defiant, though her voice wavered. "I live my life here. I am safe. I am free." "Free?" Arendor's voice was like thunder breaking over the hills. "You call hiding freedom? You have spent 10 years in chains of your own making, fearful of a destiny that will not be denied. You are marked, Amara. The world waits for you, whether you wish it or not." Kaelin's grin widened, but it was not playful. "Do you think you can escape forever? The mark is not just a brand, it is a song that will draw us to you, no matter where you run. You can fight, hide, or pretend. But it will call, and we will answer." Amara swallowed hard. She had always known this day might come, yet she had never imagined it like this. She did not fear the kings themselves, but the power they represented. The weight of centuries of curses and wars lay heavy in their presence. And yet, despite her fear, there was a flicker of curiosity within her. Something in their eyes, something she could not name, told her that her destiny was entwined with theirs, not in chains, but in a way that could transform her world. The wind shifted then, carrying the scent of iron and earth, of ancient forests and storms yet to come. Shadows moved closer, and Amara realized that she had no real escape. Every tree, every hill, every hidden path was already under their scrutiny. They were relentless, as eternal as the stars above. Arendor's hand lifted slightly, a gesture that made her flinch, though he made no move to strike. "You cannot hide," he said softly, almost a whisper, yet it cut deeper than any blade. "And you do not need to." Kaelin's laughter returned, quieter this time, almost a tease. "What she does not know is the choice she will face. She can run and lose everything. Or she can face us in the world that awaits and claim what has always been hers." Amara's heart pounded in her chest. She had lived 10 years in the quiet safety of shadows. But now, those shadows felt fragile. She realized that hiding had protected her from danger, but it had also imprisoned her, keeping her from the truth she had always sought, who she truly was, and what power the mark held. Thorian stepped forward at last, his quiet strength filling the space between them. "Fear will not serve you, Amara," he said, voice gentle, yet firm. "Nor will defiance alone. Only truth your own, and ours will guide you through the darkness that is coming." The 3 kings stood before her, each distinct, yet united. A force she had never imagined facing. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, as if even nature waited to see the choice she would make. She had fled, hidden, survived, but now, in the presence of these men, these kings, she felt the first stirrings of something she had long denied. The possibility of power, of purpose, and of connection. Then, as twilight deepened and the first stars appeared in the sky, a strange sensation coursed through her. The mark, hidden for a decade, pulsed beneath her skin with a sudden intensity, as if sensing the presence of the kings, as if recognizing that its time had come. She gasped and stumbled back, feeling the energy ripple through her veins. Arendor stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Do you feel it?" he asked, voice low and commanding. "The mark calls. It has waited for this moment." Kaelin's grin returned, sharper this time. "And now, Amara, you have no choice. Fate has come for you." Thorian's gaze softened, and for a brief moment, Amara saw something she had not expected. Not menace, not control, but a strange, dangerous kind of understanding. "We do not wish to harm you," he said quietly. "We wish only for you to see what you truly are and what you can become." Amara swallowed hard, her mind racing. 10 years of hiding, of fear, of solitude, had led to this moment. And yet, despite every instinct screaming at her to run, a small, daring spark of something new, curiosity, courage, hope, stirred within her. Before she could think further, the three kings moved as one, shadows blending with the night. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Amara realized that she was no longer alone, and that her fate, however frightening, could no longer be denied. Her heart beat faster than ever, a mix of fear and anticipation. She had survived 10 years as a beta, hidden from the world. But now, confronted by the Triplet Alpha Kings, she understood the truth. The mark would not be escaped. It would not be ignored. And the world she had been hiding from was waiting. Cliffhanger. A sudden wind swept through the trees, carrying a whisper only she could hear. "Run no longer, chosen. Your time has come." And in the shadows behind the kings, she glimpsed something impossible, an ancient power stirring, responding to her presence, as if the very forest itself had awakened to witness the unthinkable. The forest was alive with whispers as Amara's pulse raced. The Triplet Kings stood before her, three shadows of immense power and contrasting presence. She could feel the weight of their gazes, each one probing her soul, each one trying to understand the girl who had hidden for a decade. She had imagined confrontation countless times during her years in exile, but this was far from what she expected. Instead of anger or immediate violence, there was an unsettling calm, an intensity that made her heart tighten, a pull she could not resist even if she wanted. Arendor, the eldest, stepped closer, his long coat brushing the undergrowth. "You have hidden for 10 years, he said, voice deep and resonant, like distant thunder. "But hiding will not undo the mark. It will not erase the destiny etched in your blood. You are chosen, Amara, and the world is waiting for you." Amara's throat went dry. She had repeated the words, "I am nothing," so many times that even she had begun to believe them. But the eldest king's words ignited a spark she could not ignore. I am not ready," she whispered, shaking her head. "I am safe here. I live quietly. I do not want this destiny." Kalen, the middle king, leaned lazily against a tree, his eyes glinting in the fading light. "Ah, the classic defiance of one who has survived by cunning and fear," he said, voice sharp but amused. "Do you really think choice belongs to you? The mark has chosen, Amara. It has waited for its moment. And now—" He stepped forward, closer, the air between them vibrating with subtle tension. "Its moment has arrived." Amara backed toward the ruins of her hidden tower, her heart pounding in her chest. She had survived years on instinct and quick thinking. Yet the presence of these three men, their power, and their certainty, made her feel small, fragile, and yet, strangely, alive. Her body wanted to flee, but a part of her, a hidden, reckless part, wanted to understand why they were here, why they had not yet ended her life. Thorian, the youngest, emerged from the shadows silently. His eyes, dark and smoldering, never left her face. "Fear will not save you," he said quietly. But every word held weight, nor will running. The mark calls for more than hiding. It calls for truth, for strength, and for choice. Amara's fingers grazed the edge of the tower's broken stones, grounding herself. "Choice? What choice could I possibly have?" she demanded. "All I have done is survive." "You have survived," Arendor said, eyes gleaming, "and that is precisely why you are ready. Strength is forged in hiding, in struggle, in the moments no one sees. You have been preparing for this, Amara, even if you did not know it." Kalen circled her, every movement fluid and deliberate. "You feel it, don't you?" he said. "The mark. The power you have tried to ignore. It's calling, and we are here to answer." Amara shivered as a strange warmth began to rise from her skin. She could feel the energy beneath the surface, a pulse that matched her heartbeat. The mark was alive, reacting to the presence of the Triplet kings. For the first time in 10 years, she understood that her hiding had been temporary. Not protection, but delay. The truth she had been running from was catching up. "I won't be a tool," she said, voice firmer, but trembling. "I won't be used by anyone. Not by kings. Not by destiny. Not by a mark I never asked for." Thorian took a step closer, and the subtle fire in his eyes was undeniable. "No one asks for their destiny," he said softly. "It is given. But how you choose to meet it, that is what defines you." The forest seemed to hold its breath. Shadows stretched long, the wind paused, and for a moment, Amara felt as if time itself had stopped. The kings waited, not with swords drawn, not with threats, but with a force that demanded her attention, her recognition, and perhaps, her trust. "Trust is earned, not demanded," she said. Her voice shook, but she met their eyes. "Why me? Why now? Why all three of you?" Arendor's expression softened, though his voice remained firm. "Because you are the one who can change everything," he said. "The clans, the curse, the war. Only you have the power to end what has been bound by fear for centuries." Kaelin grinned faintly, a dangerous curve of lips that made her skin tingle. "And because the mark drew us to you. No one can resist it. Not fully. Not even kings." Amara's stomach twisted. She had always imagined the Triplet kings as monsters, beings of cold control and lethal intent. But standing here, she saw something she had not expected. Humanity, complexity, and a strange longing in each of their eyes. The fear she had carried for a decade clashed with something else, something equally powerful: curiosity, a spark of connection, and a whisper of hope. "You don't understand," she said, taking a step back. "I am not ready for this. For any of this." "You have never been ready," Thorian said quietly, almost a whisper. "And yet, here you are." The kings exchanged glances, and Amara realized that their bond to her was more than duty. There was recognition, understanding, and perhaps a shared fate. The mark had bound them together in ways she could not yet comprehend. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the forest, carrying with it the scent of rain, earth, and something older, something ancient. The trees swayed, and the ruins around them seemed to hum with unseen energy. Amara felt the pulse of the mark growing stronger, resonating with the very air she breathed. She could see it now, glowing faintly beneath her skin, and it terrified her. "You feel it," Kaelin said, his voice low and teasing, but his eyes serious. "The power you've tried to deny. It's awakening." Amara closed her eyes, trying to calm the storm inside her. 10 years of hiding had taught her caution, patience, and survival. But it had not prepared her for this raw, electric force coursing through her veins. Her body tingled, her senses sharpened, and she realized with a mixture of fear and awe that she could not hide from herself any longer. Arendor's hand lifted slightly, a gesture that made her flinch, though he made no move to strike. "You cannot run from what you are," he said. "And nor should you. The mark is part of you. It is not a curse, it is a gift, a key to a future only you can shape." Amara's chest heaved. She wanted to resist, to flee, to deny everything that bound her to these three men, and the destiny she had spent 10 years evading. But deep within her, a truth she had long ignored surfaced. She did not want to run forever. She wanted to understand, to claim her strength, to see what she could become. "You speak of destiny as if it is simple," she said, voice trembling but stronger than before. "But I am afraid of what I might lose, afraid of what I might become." Thorian stepped closer, his presence a steadying force. "Fear is part of becoming," he said softly. "It will always be there. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is moving forward despite it. You have survived 10 years in hiding. You are already stronger than you know." Kaelin circled her again, slower this time, watching her reaction. "And strength," he said, "is not just power. It is knowing when to fight, when to yield, and when to trust." Amara's eyes met each of the kings in turn, and she felt a strange mixture of defiance and surrender. For the first time in a decade, she did not feel entirely alone. The forest, the ruins, the mark pulsing beneath her skin, they all seemed to affirm what her heart had begun to whisper. She was not nothing. She was chosen, yes, but she was also alive, capable, and ready to face what had once terrified her. A sudden crack of lightning split the sky, and the forest shivered. Amara felt the mark surge beneath her skin, stronger than ever, as if acknowledging the Triplet King's presence and the choice she was about to make. She gasped, stumbling backward, and the three men moved in unison, their steps silent yet deliberate. Arendor's voice cut through the storm. "The time has come to face your fate," he said, "not as a fugitive, but as the chosen. The power you have denied will not wait forever. It demands recognition." Kaelin's grin was faint but sharp, almost dangerous. "And once you accept it," he said, "everything changes. Not just for you, but for the world itself." Thorian's gaze softened, filled with an intensity that made Amara's heart beat faster. "Will you step forward?" he asked quietly. "Will you claim what is yours?" Amara's hands trembled as she looked at the mark glowing faintly beneath her skin. 10 years of hiding, 10 years of fear, and now the moment she had long dreaded and perhaps longed for had arrived. She could run, she could deny it, but she knew the truth. Her life would never be the same. The choice was hers, but the consequences would ripple through kingdoms, through centuries, and through hearts yet unbroken. Her breath caught as the wind howled, carrying the scent of storms and ancient magic. She realized she had a decision to make, not just about herself, but about the Triplet Kings, about the mark, and about the destiny that had been waiting for her since birth. The forest fell silent again, expectant, as if the trees themselves held their breath. And in that silence, Amara felt the unthinkable stir within her, the first taste of power, of freedom, and of a connection she had never imagined possible. Cliffhanger. A sudden, invisible force tugged at her very being, and she stumbled forward, eyes wide. In the shadows of the forest, a shape moved unlike any creature she had ever seen. The air shimmered with ancient magic, and a voice whispered, chilling yet familiar, "You cannot hide any longer. The world awaits. Chosen." The forest was thick with mist as dawn struggled to pierce the dark canopy. Amara's heartbeat echoed in her chest, each pulse a reminder that nothing would ever be the same. She had spent 10 years hiding, 10 years running from a destiny she could barely understand. And now, standing between the Triplet Alpha Kings Arendor, Kaelin, and Thorian, she felt the full weight of the mark pulsing beneath her skin. It was no longer a secret. It was alive, demanding her recognition, demanding her courage. The kings watched her closely. Their expressions were unreadable, yet the tension between them and her was palpable. The air itself seemed charged with the energy of magic, of power, and of a connection that transcended fear. Amara realized, with a mixture of awe and fear, that her hiding had been only a delay. The world was waiting, and now She could not turn away. Arendor stepped forward, his presence immense and commanding. "The mark is stronger than ever," he said, voice resonating like rolling thunder. "It is calling not only to you, but to the three of us. Together, we must face what is coming, or all will be lost." Kalen's grin was faint, almost mischievous, yet his eyes were serious. "You have spent 10 years in hiding," he said. 10 years preparing, without knowing it, for this very moment. The power within you is ready. Amara, are you? Amara, are you? Amara swallowed hard. Her hands trembled, her chest heaved, but something deeper than fear stirred within her. A quiet, defiant courage that had been growing for a decade. I don't know," she admitted. "But I know hiding is over. I cannot run any longer." Thorian, who had been quiet until now, stepped closer. His gaze held a depth that both unsettled and comforted her. "Then, we face it together," he said softly. "You are not alone. The mark binds us. Yes, but it also connects us. Trust it. Trust us." A sudden gust of wind rustled the leaves, carrying with it an almost electric charge. Amara could feel the mark surging, pulsing like a living thing beneath her skin. It was not painful, but it demanded acknowledgement. She had no choice. It was time to embrace the power she had spent a decade denying. The forest seemed to shift around them. Shadows stretched, trees leaned in, and the mist swirled as if alive. The kings moved subtly, positioning themselves around her, a silent triangle of protection and power. The air hummed with anticipation. Amara closed her eyes and focused on the mark. She felt it deep within her veins, not as a curse, but as a key, a force that could change everything. Her heart beat in sync with its pulse, and she realized that fear, while present, no longer had dominion over her. Courage, clarity, and determination surged within her. When she opened her eyes, the kings were waiting, their gazes steady, unwavering. Amara nodded, the decision clear. "I am ready." The moment she spoke, the mark flared brightly beneath her skin, a wave of energy spreading through the forest. The trees quivered, the mist danced, and the ground beneath their feet hummed with life. It was as if the world itself had been waiting for this acknowledgement, this acceptance. Kalen stepped forward, his presence sharp and thrilling. "Then let us see what you are truly capable of," he said. The wind picked up, and Amara felt herself lifted, not by fear, but by the sheer force of destiny. Arendor extended his hand, and she placed hers in his, feeling a surge of energy and connection. Thorian did the same, and finally Kalen, completing the circle. For the first time in 10 years, Amara felt not fear, but unity, an unbreakable bond with the Triplet kings and the power of the mark itself. Suddenly, the forest trembled as a deep rumble echoed through the trees. From the mist emerged a creature unlike anything she had seen, a shadowy being, ancient and immense, radiating darkness that sought to consume. Its eyes glowed like embers, and its presence was suffocating. The mark pulsed violently against her skin, as if warning her, guiding her, preparing her for the confrontation. The Triplet kings stepped forward, unafraid. Arendor's voice carried authority that shook the forest. "Stand behind me, Amara," he said. "We face this together." Kalen's movements were quick, precise, and commanding. "The beast may be strong," he said, "but it does not understand the power of unity. Not yet." Thorian's quiet intensity was almost tangible. Amara took a deep breath. She felt the pulse of the mark, and in that moment, clarity washed over her. Fear was natural, but power was choice. She could fight, or she could falter, but the destiny she had avoided for 10 years demanded action. The shadow creature roared, a sound that shook the forest, and lunged toward them. Time seemed to slow. Amara felt the mark surge outward, creating a shield of light around her and the kings. The energy was not merely defensive, it was alive, responsive, attuned to her will. She realized she was not a victim of the mark. She was its master. With the Triplet kings at her side, Amara moved as one with the power within her. Arendor struck first, his strength a wave of force that met the creature head-on. Kaelin darted, precise and agile, exploiting every opening. Thorian's calm, controlled power complemented their attacks, guiding Amara as she released the energy of the mark. Light and shadow collided, the forest illuminated by flashes of energy. Amara could feel the beast's dark magic pressing against her, trying to overwhelm her. But she drew on her years of hiding, her survival instincts, and the bond she had formed with the kings. Every pulse of the mark, every heartbeat of her own courage, strengthened the shield around them. In a final, desperate surge, Amara focused all of her energy. The mark flared brilliantly, sending a wave of radiant light that pierced the darkness. The creature shrieked, its form dissolving into mist, leaving the forest trembling but intact. The mist receded, and the first rays of dawn broke through the canopy, bathing the scene in golden light. Amara fell to her knees, breathless but victorious. The kings rushed to her side, not with words of praise, but with a quiet understanding, a shared recognition of what had just transpired. Arendor placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You have done it," he said softly. "You embraced the mark and your destiny. The forest, the world, will remember this day." Kaelin leaned close, his grin softening into something more genuine. "You are stronger than any of us imagined," he said, "and perhaps stronger than even yourself." Thorian's gaze met hers, intense and unwavering. "You are no longer a beta in hiding," he said. "You are the chosen. The future belongs to you, Amara, as much as it belongs to us. Together, we are unstoppable." Amara's chest swelled with emotion, relief, awe, and a strange, unspoken connection to these three men who had been her hunters, her challengers, and now her allies. For the first time in 10 years, she felt whole. She had embraced her power, faced her fear, and discovered a bond that transcended destiny. The forest was quiet now, the mist retreating, the dawn spreading warmth over the trees. But even in this calm, Amara sensed that her journey was far from over. The mark pulsed gently, reminding her that the world was vast, filled with challenges she had yet to face. The Triplet kings stood at her side, ready for whatever came next. And she knew that she would never face anything alone again. A soft wind stirred the leaves, carrying a whisper through the trees, ancient, urgent, and filled with promise. "This is only the beginning, chosen. The world awaits." Amara's eyes met the king's. No words were needed. Their shared understanding was enough. Together, they had faced the unthinkable. And together, they would shape the future facing darkness, embracing power, and forging a bond that neither time nor fate could break. Her 10 years of hiding were over. The mark, the Triplet kings, and the destiny she had feared were now hers to command. And in that moment, she understood something she had never allowed herself to feel: hope. The dawn broke fully over the forest, golden and bright, yet shadows lingered at its edges. But Amara no longer feared them. With the kings at her side, with the mark alive within her, she was ready. Whatever came next, she would meet it with courage, with strength, and with the unbreakable bond of 3 kings who had dared to defy fate. And somewhere in the distance, hidden just beyond the light, a new power stirred, watching, waiting, knowing that the chosen had awakened. The story of Amara, the beta who became the chosen, was only beginning. and the world would tremble before the force she now embodied. Cliffhanger. The wind whispered again, carrying a faint echo of a voice she thought she would never hear. You have awakened, but the true trial is yet to come, and the forest seemed to shift around them, alive with unseen eyes, as if the world itself waited for the next move in the unthinkable game of destiny.